The people at TV licensing have reached a new low by targeting a retirement village and scaring the residents half to death. And is Rachel Thieves planning a new pensions raid? Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Now we're starting with the story about the residents of St Crispin Retirement Village on the outskirts of Northampton who have been targeted by TV licensing in a row over a guest room. Now, retirement villages can get a heavily discounted licence fee if they share a communal area. It's called an ARC licence, Accommodation for Residential Care. Now, until November 2024, residents at St Crispin's Village paid just £7.50 each. However, after the management of the village changed hands, the new owners converted a storeroom into extra overnight accommodation for family and friends. Now, a lovely thing to do, you'd think, but TV licensing, however, thought otherwise. They claimed the change violated the rules for the discounted rate. As a result, they refused to extend the discount, arguing that the conversion of the storeroom made the accommodation qualify as an additional dwelling, which is not eligible for the reduced fee, and this affects all the residents. After months of communications going back and forth between the management and TV licensing, the village changed the room back to its original purpose, meaning that the accommodation is the same as it was when the village was receiving the discount. However, so far, TV licensing, it appears, is refusing to acknowledge the change and return to the original setup. To be honest, I'm not surprised, because with 270 bungalows and apartments, instead of a measly £2,000 income, TV licensing will be raking in just shy of £46,000. Yeah. No wonder they don't want to revert to the ARC licence. But it gets worse. As we understand it, TV licensing sent their infamous harassment letters to the residents, first of all telling them that they had to pay the full amount of £170 a year, as well as the follow-up letters, you know, the ones claiming that investigations into their addresses have been started, and anyone caught watching without a licence could be prosecuted. They even sent the letters that asked, "Will you be on?" implying that their enforcement officers or salesmen would be calling. And these letters went out to some very vulnerable residents, including those with dementia. Now, there's a woman, Kat Adams, who has a friend living at the village, and she said her friend who has dementia was receiving the letters that were very intimidating. And it freaked her out. She got one of those letters asking if she was going to be in on a certain day, and that caused all sorts of problems. Kat Adams said she thinks people are going to break into her flat and take her television. It's caused her a lot of distress, and that's with just one person. Now, this is meant to be a safe place for her. Now, with TV licensing ignoring the villagers' requests that they reverse their decision, one of the residents, Stan Fitton, has launched a petition calling on TV licensing to do just that, reverse the decision. But in a recent update on the petition website, it appears they've not done so. According to Stan, they continue to get no response to their numerous requests for a definitive reason as to why TV licensing have refused their application for an ARC licence. They simply won't engage in answering the fundamental question of where in the regulations does a guest room disqualify them from obtaining a concessionary licence. And despite public claims that they're continuing to liaise with the village, Stan states that there's been no liaison with TV licensing since last December. Now Stan asks, when will someone do their job and answer the question, Or is it that they know they can't substantiate the misrepresentations of the regulations? After all, he says, they're collecting thousands of pounds in licence fees from vulnerable pensioners, and it's bordering on extortion. I never expected the BBC would allow such practices in their name. This is shocking, and here at Grey Matters Towers we believe this is being driven not by regulations, certainly not by compassion, but by making money, even if it means scaring some of the most vulnerable in society half to death and hitting them with a £170 bill that they probably can't afford. Now, if you want to sign the petition, I'll leave a link to it in the description, and if all of our 38,000 subscribers sign it, that can make a huge difference. So just as a précis of it, they were paying £7.50, a guest room was built, TV licensing said the whole village now had to pay £170 each for the licence, and currently they're refusing to engage. And it means that their income from the TV licensing has shot up from around £2,000 a year to £46,000. So it's no wonder they don't want to engage. Let's get that petition signed and let that residential village get its concessionary licence back again. Next up, Rachel Thieves may have plans for another indirect pension raid. This time by proceeding with proposals originally mooted by the previous Conservative government. Funny, isn't it, how instead of criticising Tory proposals, the government will adopt them if it makes them some money. So, what's this all about? Well, nearly 9 million pensioners have final salary, workplace and private pensions, defined benefit pensions to give them their proper name. And for the Labour administration, it believes that there is surplus cash in those pension funds that would unlock new investment opportunities in the economy. Now, of course, investment means returns, so you might think that this is a good idea. Invest the surplus in the economy and get a return that will bolster the pension funds. However, that would mean relaxing some of the regulations that are protecting those pensions to allow the fund managers to invest in the economy. And we all know what happened when Maxwell and Brown had a free hand with the Mirror and BHS pension schemes, don't we? In fact, the regulations were tightened after that to ensure that that sort of thievery could never happen again. Now, according to the UK's largest campaign group for older people, the National Pensioners Convention, there is a real fear that this money will not be reinvested in the economy, but used instead to pay shareholders. Jan Short, the MPC's General Secretary, said that even the original Conservative government's consultation said it would reduce security for DB pension schemes. So it's unsurprising, therefore, that 94% of the affected pensioners who were polled said they didn't want politicians interfering with their private and occupational pensions. Now, in a press statement released today, that's Monday the 14th of April, Jan Short stated that it's astonishing that the government would risk the pensions of millions at a time when older people are already under increasing financial pressure in retirement. Now, this poses a double jeopardy when worldwide investment markets are so volatile. Defined benefit pensions should be protected, she said, and not put at risk by allowing companies to withdraw surplus funds in the pensions. Now, she believes that the reforms introduced after the dreadful Maxwell and Brown pension raids should be enough to protect today's schemes. But she says the government's extraction plans fly in the face of the legal duties of employers, scheme trustees and administrators. Any loosening of the regulations puts schemes at risk from unscrupulous people. And she says there are plenty of those out there. Now, the MPC's press statement goes on to say that the pensions regulator supports this proposal, But he or she, I'm not sure who it is, has said that the first priority must be to ensure that the pension scheme members have the best chance of receiving their promised benefits. Well, the NPC is clear that with such volatile markets, the regulator and the government should remember that priority and realise that it's actually a bad time to be making changes just because things seem rosy today. Now, PIC, which is a specialist insurers of direct benefit pensions, has suggested that anyone worried about the prospect of vital protections being watered down should write to their MPs about these proposals. They say that ministers need to be very careful with this issue, given that it's about the financial well-being of generally older and potentially vulnerable people. Well, that's a joke, isn't it? We all know the current government doesn't give two hoots about the financial security of older people. It simply sees us as a cash cow and expendable once our usefulness has ended. Yeah. Well, do please join in the debate in the comments. You always have plenty to say, and we get some really good points generally emerging from the comment section. Also, don't forget that petition to sign, see if we can get that retirement village back on its discounted TV licence scheme. If you like our content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell to be kept informed when our future episodes drop. In the meantime, thanks for joining us, and until next time here on Grey Matters, it's bye for now.